Can we turn to Saudi UAE tensions in Yemen, and in particular in southern Yemen? Now, as we speak, Saudi forces are bombing positions in the SDC controlled region of Yemen. This is a region that the UAE has in effect set up with its proxy forces. And over the last couple of weeks, there have been some really overt tension, I suppose, between the Saudis and the UAE. There was a bombing of supply lines at a port in Yemen, and we've seen stronger language coming from the Saudis towards the UAE. Historically, when there were tensions, the UAE was not explicitly mentioned, it seemed to me, but now it's sort of boiled out into the public. The UAE has at least publicly said that it's removing its forces from the southern part of Yemen, but there seems to be an all-out conflict, if that's not a strong word, between the Saudis, Mohammed bin Salman, and Mohammed bin Zayed. Is that a fair characterization of what's happening between the two countries now?
The dynamics that underpin the relationship between bin Salman and bin Zayed have changed significantly. If we're talking about what happened in Yemen now, there is a province called Hadramaut. Hadramaut, very famous province, even Islamically, historically, very famous province. The Saudis in Yemen have traditionally been unsure what they want in Yemen.
Yeah.
Do they want the internationally recognized government to be put into power? They are hesitant because the most dominant force is the Islah, and the Islah are considered by the Saudi government to be Muslim Brotherhood. But they remain significant. They were the number 2 power during the Ali Abdullah Saleh era.
Yeah.
Do they want Yemen to be split in two, which is the historic Saudi position? But the Southern Transitional Council is closer to UAE than it is to Saudi, so we're not keen on that either at the moment. Do we make a deal with the Houthis the way we've made deals with the Houthis in the past in 2009 and before?
Yeah.
But the Houthis have reneged on it and they're too close to the Iranians. So the Saudis have been left in sort of this no man's land where they want no party to win. They bombed the forces of the internationally recognized government when they tried to take Aden in 2019. Then they bombed the Houthis, and now they're bombing the Southern Transitional Council. So every party can claim to have been bombed by the Saudis at one particular point. That reflects their paralysis and confusion about what it is that they want in Yemen. The UAE have always been clear about what they want in Yemen and the region and beyond, which is the Arab Spring demonstrated that the people want freedom and want the freedom to reflect their aspirations at the ballot box to choose their leaders. And the UAE is saying, over my dead body will I allow any freedom in the Arab world. You will obey the dictators and obey the brutal dictators. And the UAE is funding genocide in Sudan to prevent the Sudanese from choosing their leaders because they're worried the Sudanese will choose Islamist Muslim leaders. They're bombing they're supporting Haftar in Libya because they're worried that elections will also deliver some sort of Islamic leaning trends and the like. And they're also in different places trying to scupper, and they were leading force in supporting the coup in Tunisia as well to crush that democratic transition as well. So UAE has been absolutely clear. What we want in Yemen is, we want to split Yemen in two. We want a dictatorship in the south, and we don't mind dealing with the Houthis because we have our own relation with Iran that we've done in the past. The Saudis in 2017, 2018 were aligned with the UAE for two reasons. One, they agreed about the threat of the Arab Spring. They were concerned that the Qataris through Al Jazeera were bringing the Arab Spring towards those Gulf monarchies. There might be protests, Saudis might complain about the economic crisis, and therefore they might protest against the regime, and therefore they were natural allies with one another. Bin Salman in particular needed the UAE because after the killing of Jamal Khashoggi at the Saudi embassy in Turkey, he became considered an international pariah. He was at odds with Erdogan, in open conflict with Erdogan, open conflict with Qatar, which had an incredible media lobby with Al Jazeera and the like. They had tensions with Europe and the like. Bin Salman needed the UAE to market him in Washington and in Western capitals. Bin Salman couldn't go to Washington because he became a pariah. He needed the UAE to counter the Qatari lobby and these others who were lobbying against him in Washington. He needed the UAE to spend its money to go and say, Bin Salman is the ruler that you need in order to bring about a de-Islamization in Saudi Arabia, to counter extremism, to counter terrorism and all this other thing. Without the UAE, Bin Salman feared that he would be removed and some of the family members that he'd put in prison would be restored to power, who once upon a time enjoyed the favor of the Americans, like Mohammed bin Nayef, etc. Fast forward to today. Erdogan and bin Salman are now friends. They're no longer fighting with one another. They've reconciled with each other completely. Just today, as we're walking in, they're now discussing naval coordination drills and military drills and also access to Turkish weaponry, and they are becoming very close to one another. Bin Salman and Qatar have reconciled, and bin Salman unilaterally reconciled with the Qataris without consulting the UAE when Biden administration came, when Biden won the election. Saudi reconciled with Qatar, and since then the Qataris have fully invested in the relationship. Their media doesn't mention any criticism of Mohammed bin Salman. They've kept the peace with Mohammed bin Salman. They've kept their side of the agreement. They are also very close.